Welcome back, my friends, to an absolutely wild episode of TFT HyperRoll from Mission for Tuition. Why is it called Mission for Tuition? We're trying to raise money for our son's middle and high school tuition because he has to go to a ridiculously expensive school. This is not a request for donations. It's all about the views. Please like, share, comment, do all that great stuff for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for the support on the recent videos. And with that said, let's get started. In this season of TFT, more than any other season, you can't go into the game with a plan. You have to let the game come to you. If you don't, you're probably going to mess it up because very likely your plan is not going to work out. So I find it best to just buy out the entire first room, and this is for HyperRoll. Obviously you can't do this in regular ranked because you don't have enough gold to do it, but I buy everything I can just to see what that first augment will be and what the best way to go is. But so often you get something like this, where it says, I'm not going to tell you which way you're going to go. I can give you a scrap part, but you don't have any scrap champions, so I can give you some phony front lines and that'll be cute, but you don't know what you're doing yet. When I see Socialite Heart as an option, I like to take it because it gives you an empowered hex on the board. You don't know where that hex is going to be, and you're going to have to adjust to it, but it gives you something that you can at least work around. So once I have my hex, I just want to put my strongest current champion into it, which in this case is my 2-star Yaoi, and then have her continue to just beat things up to keep me alive till I can figure out what the best build is going to be. Once I silvered up my Darius, I wanted Darius in that hex because I find Darius to be an overall stronger champion than Yaoi, especially early game. Yaoi has good features if you're going into a mercenary build or going bruisers, but Darius overall, with that incredible AoE and the ability to heal himself, is a strong early unit. As you can see right now, I'm still struggling figuring out what build I want to go into. I've picked up 2 bruisers so my team has a little extra health, but I've also gotten a 2-star Kassadin and locked for the Leona. The game decides to throw some more items at me, and I say throw because I'm looking at them going, well, nothing really fits. I pick up the Giant's Belt, grab the Leona, and decide, okay, I'm going to tilt into bodyguards and then see if I can create a Darius who can keep himself alive, especially inside that hex. Wanting to keep the team as strong as possible, I put in the 2-star Kassadin instead of the Trundle, who isn't getting the bruiser buff anymore. And while I grab the bodyguards to have the increased armor, that isn't going to help when you're facing a gold Ziggs and a silver Heimer this early in the match. They are going to be able to get you pretty easily. Maybe if I had picked up Protector, I could have kept Kassadin alive earlier, but it really didn't matter. That was a loss. Through the next NPC round, and things are starting to become a little bit clearer, although I am very torn between First Aid or Bodyguard Heart. I'm thinking I'm going to try to turn Darius into a carry, and First Aid could have worked, but having that extra bodyguard will be incredibly helpful later on. I've also found a Zira while rolling and then picked up a Shaco, and I'm thinking, okay, we're going to want to get to 5 Syndicates and then preferably 4 bodyguards. I'm also going to try to use bruisers if possible to increase the health of the champions. We give Darius a little bit more AP, so he's going to heal more often, and then we'll see where this goes. And as I get into this match, I'm thinking, oh boy, I'm in trouble because I do not have this together. I'm looking at teams that actually have cohesive comps and are making things happen, and mine is just sort of a mishmash of concepts but not really getting anywhere. And as you can see by my bench, I'm really not sure which way I want this game to go right now. I pick up the needlessly large rod as the best item available to me at the moment, and I've picked up a second socialite, or should I say a first socialite, because I have the Socialite Heart, and decide to then just, commit into making Darius really tanky and able to heal. I know for my current crazy idea to actually work, I need to get to 5 Syndicates, because that will give Darius additional Omnivamp on top of everything else. So I have him healing from 3 different ways, just naturally from his ult, from the Hex Tech, and then from the Omnivamp from that additional buff that you get from being a Syndicate. At this point, Darius is doing very well, keeping himself alive. I've done a bunch of rolling, and now I'm just 1 Darius away from being able to turn him into gold. And I'm thinking it's going to be 5 Syndicates, 3 socialites and 4 bodyguards. That's what I'm going for, because I'm looking for Shakos as well. But I think I'm pretty much done in this fight. But Darius is, well, he's Darius, and he's gonna do stuff like this, which is just confound the other team with a 1v6 and finish them off, including a gold Graves. And yeah, he's gonna dance. After dispatching some NPCs, we get a shot at a rare prismatic augment. Enforcers and bruisers are both really tempting. Enforcers would allow us to lock someone down. Bruisers would increase overall team health and double the health on any bruisers that we have. But I go for exiles. Getting that additional shield on top of these champions is going to be key, especially since I put a Warmogs onto Darius. That's going to give him a ton of extra health, and since my goal is to make him into an unstoppable tank, I think this is the way to go. We go ahead and put the Sunfire Cape onto Tarek so he can do some initial damage and get some anti-healing up front, while meanwhile Darius is just standing there basically not getting too affected at the moment. My goal here is to go to 3 socialites because that's going to add additional Omnivamp. On top of the Omnivamp he gets from being a Syndicate, and on top of the healing he already does from the Hex Tech and his natural ult. My health is high enough that I feel I can last long enough to get all of my pieces together, and he actually lasts in this fight longer than I expect to, except for that Lux ult to the face with the Giant's Belt. It's time to make the swap up to the 3 socialites so that he's getting the additional Omnivamp. I'm also rolling to try and find that additional Darius, and now I can bring him up to gold, but I have one absolute key champion left, and that's going to be Braum. Braum is a Syndicate, and he is a Bodyguard, so once he's added in, I'll have the 5 Syndicates, I'll have the 4 Bodyguards, and my vision will be complete, and then we just hope that it can actually win then. Realizing the only way I'm going to make this happen is if I call Gary, I give him a call, and he's like, okay, I got you, we'll fill this whole thing out for you. So he gives me the Leona I need, the Braum I need, the Seraphine I need, I already had the Darius, and now we're all set. We have absolutely everything we need to see if this comp can work. And as an added gift, my friend at Riot says, I think your Shaco could use just a little tiny bit more help, so here's a rapid fire cannon that you can put on Shaco and make him just a little bit stronger. So with this build basically complete for how I saw it, the question is, what can a gold 50% Omnivamp Darius do in terms of holding aggro and just being an unstoppable tank? Remember, bodyguards are getting a significant amount of increased armor, plus they are taunting adjacent enemies at the beginning of the fight. So Darius is just asking people to come at him. Meanwhile, he's able to keep himself healed and ultimately leads the damage chart. And with that victory, we are into the top 4, and I am rewarded with a silver 2-star Braum. And I think this team has now gotten to the point of almost ridiculously strong, because Darius just does not want to take damage, or when he does, he takes a little and then heals right back up to full. That's leaving room for Shaco to just come in from the back and slaughter people. Even a 2-star Kaisa doesn't stand much of a chance against this team. I decide to grab Victor to put out the arcane buff, because what's a little extra AP between friends, but then I run into the same problem I've run into before. The socialite hex is in a spot where these people aren't supposed to be next to each other, but I cannot figure out a place to put him where he's not going to be adjacent to someone else. Therefore, 2 champions end up losing their shield. Now, watching this back, I actually found a spot I could have placed him. See if you can find it. I couldn't find it in the moment, but I found it watching it back. I stack some mana items onto Victor just to try to make sure he gets to cast, but he is killed a little too quickly. But ultimately that doesn't matter. This is 100% Darius reliant. I need him to stay up, keep people occupied, and then just keep healing. They manage to stun him a few times and get things on him, but as fast as they do that, he is able to swing his giant axe and just heal himself back up. The Omnivamp is just a little bit too much for this team, and the damage just a little bit too strong. And since the last remaining competitor has 8 health, I absolutely need to win 2 in a row in order to win this match. They have the ability to make adjustments if necessary, but this team I have assembled is a little nonsensically strong. With the amount of armor they are sporting, it is hard for their team, which is mostly AD based, to get through, and they're going to have to come up with something really quick as an answer to this Darius. I just don't think it's possible given their team. It just wasn't something that was going to work out. It was a direct counter. I think this combination is very strong. As always, I wouldn't suggest forcing it. It took a lot to get exactly to this position, but it led to a victory with most of my team remaining up at the end. Hope you enjoyed the video and have an absolutely awesome day.